So this is part 1 of 2, so stay tuned. What's up, Kid family? As you know, my sister is joining us today. Today I'm going to be talking about my testimony, telling my story, my life's journey, and so on. So this might be a little bit vulnerable, but
Tell My Story series.
but I'm excited because it's my story and a lot of people could probably relate with it as well. So just a little bit of encouragement over here and inspiration to give you guys if you guys are dabbling in what I used to dabble into. But anyways, let's get into it. Joy.
Hello, everybody. Okay, so you already know I'm her sister because I've been on videos before. So, Sharown, why don't we talk to our viewers about our childhood?
Our childhood? Okay. Well,
we were born
yes,
in Texas.
in Texas, Dallas, Texas.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Go Cowboys.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah, so we're from Dallas, but we moved up here when I was 4.
I was 11.
And she was 11.
Yeah.
So I've been up here for, I'll be 27 in a few
23
weeks.
years.
Wow. 23 years of my life in Ohio. But anyways, so our childhood was a little bit rocky. A lot of it rocky.
Well, we grew up in a Christian household.
We did.
Yeah.
And it was, it had its advantages and disadvantages. But, so it was a little rocky.
Yeah, it was.
For most of my childhood, my dad was not in the picture. He was in the picture, but he wasn't in the picture.
He worked out of town all week.
He worked out of town all week.
Yeah.
He'd come home on the weekends.
Yep.
So,
And then he would discipline us on the weekends.
yeah, Mom would always be like,
You
"Don't
wait
let
till
me-
your dad gets home.
Don't let me call your dad. I'm gonna call your dad."
Yep.
And then get home and then pow. But mom really had a lot on her shoulders too.
Oh, yeah.
4 children.
Oh, yeah.
You know, single
Yeah.
mother,
Yeah.
trying to get us always back to school or back and forth to school and sports and
Church yep,
and all this
things.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
so let's see.
Tell us about elementary school. You went to Lowell.
So I went to Lowell for kindergarten and first,
Mm-hmm.
and then I went to Beverly when we moved to Waterford because we were living in a small little cabin. Man, I tell you what, with bats,
We got
and
stories about
snakes
those.
and mice.
Hold on, derail. This one time we had a bunk bed. It was upstairs when we were living there. And I had the top bunk, she had the bottom bunk. And I kid you not, I remember hearing, and I was like, Joe, what was that? And then I looked up and there's bats are flying
And
over my head.
she's just
I got
screaming.
underneath my blankets and I stand there for like an hour and my pits are sweating. I'm so hot. I'm so scared of these
She's being a little dramatic because Mom and Dad's room are literally right down below the stairs, so they
No!
heard them. They
Can you
heard.
imagine?
They heard
Bats
her.
flying over your head. Bats flying over your head.
It was great living in the middle of a cornfield. You know, we would go get
Snakes, rats.
our little derby car,
We had
whatever,
a
that Grandma and
go-kart.
Grandpa's. Yeah,
Go-kart.
and we'd just go. I remember I went into the cornfield and I came out and I was like, "What's on my head?" And there was a whole tick, and I was
tick.
like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yes.
But yeah, so we
Yes.
lived in a small little cabin.
It was our grandparents' cabin.
It was,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yep.
But
Yep.
what great memories in the cabin. I feel like I woke up like to you and Mom one morning chopping a snake's head off.
Yep. We had a big old
Yeah.
shovel. We were killing a black
And
snake.
This stuff was real.
Oh my.
So I was attending Lowell, and then we moved to Waterford,
Yeah.
and that's whenever we did open enrollment to Fort Fry instead of going to Waterford,
Yep.
which is our rival
Yep.
school
Yep.
across the river. So yeah, so what were we talking about?
We're gonna say elementary now. You're in elementary. You're Beverly.
Beverly, 2nd to 6th grade.
Okay, so elementary school year is pretty good. You're
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah. I mean, for the most part, you know, I found myself in the principal's office a lot. But, you know,
Can you
that
tell
is
she's
what
the
it is.
rebel? Hence the tattoos.
And Metallica, you know, I just like this shirt. I don't really like Metallica, but the shirt,
The color.
yeah.
Okay, so
Falcon.
elementary, you're good. You got in trouble a little bit, but let's talk about junior high.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's just go back to 2nd grade though.
Okay.
Whenever I really
What happened in second grade?
I became really good friends with a friend
Yeah.
And I would always go to her house and whatever.
This is where it kind of started.
So this is where it kind of started. We would always kind of play like house and whatever, or like bar. And her parents smoked, so they would smoke inside. And when her parents were gone, we would go sneak into the refrigerator and get cigarettes. And so I really had like my first, like I really started smoking cigarettes when I was, what is second grade? Like how old? 7, 8?
You're 8.
8, yeah. So I had my first cigarette at like 8, and then, but yeah, for the most part, elementary was good. And then we go to Fort Fry High School. It's joined junior high and
7th and 8th grade is a
high school.
High school's down at that.
Because it's a very small town that it's in. I'm slouching the whole time. But so yeah, so junior high came and it started getting a little crazy then, I feel like, because I met a friend of mine that I've known for like 13 years, and her house was like the party house, party camper. So, yeah, what is that? Eighth grade, I think I started like drinking. Yeah, 8th grade I started drinking.
See, let me just tell you something about this relationship. Well, there's 7 years gap, right?
There is.
She kind of forgot to tell you, but whenever, because it's not really my story, it's more like her story, but like growing up, we were pretty sheltered. My parents didn't let us date. They never told us why, they never told us why we should wait till marriage to have sex, none of that stuff. They just said you just don't need to do it. Right. They never said like the consequences of. So like I'd sneak behind, their back and date guys and sneak out the house, and then I'd come home and talk to her because we were bed buddies. Right, we shared a room.
If she was gone, I knew where she going. I mean, come on now. There was one day whenever I woke up out of bed and there's a knock on the window. We're in a 3-story house anyways. And there's just knock on the window, and like next thing I know, she's gone or whatever, and walking down a hill. We lived on a big freaking hill, like a huge hill. And so she's walking down a hill or whatever, and you know what? I don't know what happened after that. I just remember she was sneaking out with a boy. And I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't tell my mom or anything. Nope. Like, what am I supposed to do?
The point was when well, because when you started doing all your things in 8th grade, I was already out of high school.
Yeah.
I was already out of high school.
Yeah, because I was in 2008. So I was
married.
3 years out.
I was 2 years married. That's what happened. Yeah. So because I was so much older than her, then we didn't really have much of a relationship anymore. Right. And she wouldn't tell me stuff, and I wouldn't tell her stuff.
Well, she had her own family.
Yeah, had my own family. Yep.
So.
Okay, so 8th grade, you started.
8th grade's when I started. Yeah, the first beer I ever drank and got drunk off was Budweiser. Y'all, anyways, and it was at a campfire. You know what? That was a great little night. But that was the first time I remember like really starting drinking, and then it was like moving on to freshman year, but it was the summer, so it was going into freshman year. So it was the summer, and that's whenever I lost my virginity. I actually snuck out with one of my friends, and a couple guys picked us up. It was horrible. Let me just tell you, because whenever this got found out in high school, because this man had a girlfriend and all this kind of stuff, it was a whole bunch of crap. But yeah, I'm really telling my whole life right now.
So you became a non-virgin in 9th grade.
I was 14.
Wow.
Yeah, 14.
Wow.
And it was I lost my virginity to a junior.
Okay.
Yeah. So, then he ran all his mouth to everybody else that were juniors. And it just started from there, and
downward spiral.
Downward spiral. Because the end of my freshman year, I didn't make a really good decision and hurt a couple people's hearts, and I apologize still to the day, because that really actually did prepare me for my marriage. Now, everything prepares you for what you're about, like what you're gonna go into or what you're into at the moment. So, it got back around to school, and it really pushed me out of school, and I did homeschooling. And so
was it like a year?
Yeah, and thank you, Godmother Sarah, because she passed me through my sophomore year for real. Yay! But the sophomore year is really sucky. Like, it was just really bad.
You wanted to go back to school?
I just wanted to go back to school, but I didn't want to go back to high school.
Right.
I wanted to go somewhere else. So I went to the Career Center, and I met my ex-husband junior year in 2011, and we decided to have a child, Ryan, which is now 9, but so we had him at 17. And we got married right after we graduated. That same week, we graduated on that Wednesday.
So you're 18.
Yeah, and then I got married that Saturday, actually right down the street. But so then he was in the military. Yeah, you guys we moved to Arizona.
Oh, Arizona first.
Moved to Arizona first. We were out there for like 6 months, Fort Huachuca. Hoorah! And we were out there for 6 months. And it was good. It was pretty, but I wouldn't live out there again just because there's just no greenery at
But
all.
can I just intervene?
What do you want to intervene about?
At this point, her whole family said it wasn't a good idea for her to get married.
Oh, this was horrible. I was so manipulated.
We all saw it, but she did, and that's totally fine. That's usually what happens.
Controlled.
I did not talk to my sister.
But he was like my first real boyfriend.
A year.
Yeah, I didn't talk to a lot of people.
I remember talking to you on the phone. I'm like, is this really my sister's voice?
That's
like
crazy.
He did not let her talk to any of us.
No, and it was so crazy. It really was just a really bad relationship because he was cheating on me like the whole time, you know. And I was always that person like, listen, if you don't have proof, I'm not gonna take your word over who I'm with. So give me proof. We found proof out, and so, but I was still stupid and gullible and naive and in love, but not really. So where were we at? Arizona. Then we moved to North Carolina, Fayetteville, North Carolina. He was in 82nd Airborne. And so we were living there for a little while, and we literally just got to like our 1 year mark of being married. And we just had this horrible argument for like this whole week, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna take our son, we're gonna go to Ohio, I'm gonna see my parents, I'm gonna introduce my son to the rest of the family. They didn't even know him. They didn't even know my son. Like, they couldn't even hold him. Like, my parents couldn't even hold him at our wedding. We couldn't get pictures with, you know what I'm saying? That was just, y'all, if you guys have any relatable situation, I don't know how to say it, but if you guys are dealing with a manipulative and control like relationship, like, get out of it as soon as possible. But yeah, so anyways, yes, get out of it ASAP. If you need help, you know what, reach out, and me or my sister will definitely help you or whatever. You know, you can't do it by yourself, but you're not alone. You do have the Lord as well.
And support, for sure.
And support.
Okay, so you came to Ohio.
So we were fighting, finally came to Ohio. My parents came and picked us up that night.
Yep.
But I had stopped at Zach's work. Ooh, well, there it goes. I stopped at his work, and he was like, well, are we getting separated? Like, are we gonna be separated or whatever? Which at the time I was like, why are you even asking this right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. No, I'm just gonna go up for the weekend and we'll be back. Well, we got up here, and it was literally like the next day, I think. He had no respect towards me whatsoever, because if a man is going to divorce you over a text message and tell you about it, he got no balls. He doesn't respect you. He doesn't care about you, nothing. Like, if you can't even sit there and literally talk to your wife, hey, I would like to have a divorce. So anyways, my heart broke just like that.
Yep.
And then it really started getting rocky, y'all.
Yep.
I started like binge drinking.
Yep.
My friend at the time was watching Ryan for me, so I could just freaking drink. I didn't know. Although I had I knew about God and all this. I only knew of God like through my mother's eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know him personally. He wasn't my personal Lord and Savior yet. So I was just started binge drinking, and then I started going out to the bars, and then that ended up with me dating a tattoo artist. you know.
Hence the tattoos.
Hence the tattoos. I dated him for like a year and a half, and he got me. He introduced like cocaine and all. By then, guys, I just only drank and smoked a little weed here and there. But so then I was taken under by cocaine. Yep. But I've tried every single drug, and I don't know what's out there right now or whatever, but whatever's out there, I was trying everything. Heroin, pills, Percocets, you know, Oxycontin, meth, crack.
Now let me just tell you guys how naive I am. I'd see her and I'd be like, how are you losing so much weight? She's like, yeah, I'm just working out, not eating as much.
Is that what I said? Is that what I was saying?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're like, yeah, I'm not eating as much. I'm working out. And I'm like, oh, okay then. I never touched a drug in my life. So I've been scared of it. I smoked once when I was like 10th grade. My friend had a cigarette and I smoked, and then it burned the inside of my lungs, and I said I'm never doing that again. I drank, and I got drunk a few times and had sex before marriage. Always told myself that I wouldn't do it, but I did it.
Never say never. Never say
We have the best of intentions.
Never say never. Yeah, but that happens, you know, it happens.
So
Y'all, I get a little scattered brain for real, because I'm like...
So you were addicted to drugs for 3 years, right?
Pretty heavy for 3 years.
Yeah.
With all of that, like, you know, going through separation, being in a new relationship, not even being healed from the prior relationship, and going straight into this relationship. And then 2014 was just not our family's year at all. I felt like that's probably one of the hardest years of my life, was just, so a new relationship, you know, man, a new relationship, learning, trying to be a single mother, you know, that really doesn't even have her shit together, to be honest. Where am I going with this?
Well, let's just say you're heavy into it, 3 years. When did you lose Ryan? When did you lose custody?
Yeah, so let's see, it was November. Yeah, so hold on.